Thanks very much. Hi, how are you? I'm great, thank you. There are so many wonderful people here. And over the last day or so, I just am really inspired about the kind of alignment that exists, right? So many is coming from different places with similar values. And it's just been a joy and a pleasure. Um, so I want to start by just saying that it's really an honor to be here. What a smart investment of time and resources, right? To create a space for us to pour into ourselves. It's not typical for conference. And in the work we do, it also isn't typical. And yet today, over the next 25 minutes, I hope to create a container for us to explore, like, what does it mean to really support ourselves, continue to invest in ourselves? Actually makes the work more powerful. I want to start with just an introduction. I come from the south side of Chicago. I grew up to a mother that was an organizer, and a union organizer, and a father that worked in the Department of Corrections. So I grew up with this kind of inspiration to be a part of community and really invest. That was part of my lineage, part of the values I saw and lived. I moved into nonprofit work. I was doing workforce development for formerly incarcerated and women in trades. It was really powerful, amazing work. It also was exhausting. You might relate to some of these challenges of you're writing the grant, you're doing the actual work and interactions with the community, and then you're also fundraising and also doing the logistical kind of administrative pieces. And I burned myself all the way out. It's a story that I've heard here already a couple of times in the last day or so, but I burned down to some really dark and deep places. It was really challenging, right? When you are doing good work and you're inspired and you're valued aligned, you can invest and overextend yourself so easily. Like it's in the name, home health care. It's in the name, care. I care, I extend myself. They don't really teach us how to kind of build a boundary to make sure that we're sustaining ourselves. And yet, if we overextend, we end up not having enough resources and then we don't last. So that's what happened to me. I burned all the way out. It wasn't pretty. It took years to recover from. I moved to California and I was like, what am I going to do? I've got to rebuild my life. So I kind of considered, what do people in California do? Someone told me you should go meditate. I was like, oh, I know how to meditate. I can be quiet. But they sent me on a person of color retreat on a mountain in California where nobody talks for 9 days. I had never been on a retreat before. I'd never been quiet for 9 days. So I go and I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, I can be quiet. I can sit there. Okay. The first couple of days are kind of fun. You're like quiet to yourself and you're like having all the thoughts you do. Oh, what did I do with my life? How can I make it better? And then after the first couple of days, like you start to set into this kind of deeper awareness because you've thought of everything you could think of. And now all the stuff that you stuffed away starts to come up. All the things that I like white knuckled my way through and just pushed down so I could continue to work started to surface. It was really painful. But what happened is my heart broke open. And that new awareness of my suffering, my new awareness and like experience with my past trauma was now actually being healed. Anyway, I tell this story so that you know a little bit about me and why and how I come to this work. And so today I want to do a couple of things together. It may be a little out of your comfort zone, so I'm just going to ask you to try it on. If it doesn't fit, you put it down at the end, and we don't know if you put. Yeah. Oh, that's not me. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I need my slides, to be honest. TBH. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to spend a little time together. We're going to have a couple exercises. Please try them on. If they're uncomfortable, you don't have to participate. You always have the right to say no. And also, you might try them on today and leave them behind if they don't work. So the first one is I'm going to ask you just to kind of do a visualization exercise with me. So if you find a posture in your chair that feels comfortable, but not sleepy comfortable, like alert comfortable. And then I'm going to ask you just to kind of have a nice deep breath in through the nose, and then out through the mouth. It might feel good to settle and turn your awareness towards your body. If it feels good to turn your neck or roll your shoulders. Yeah, have another nice deep breath in and out. Just for a minute, I'm going to ask you to lower your gaze or close the eyes and see if you can comb back through your memories to your early childhood. I'm going to ask you to think of a person that was really integral to your character. Somebody who, without them in your life, you would not be who you are today. Might be a person in your family, maybe somebody from your church. Just take a moment and pull their image to your mind's eye and your attention. And from this place, just noticing their energy, their smile, their laugh. See if you can remember what it feels like to be in their presence and what kind of values they brought to your life. And I'm going to ask you to continue combing through your memories and see if you can think of a place that was so important to who you've become today. It might be a school or a community center, a home or a church. See if you can visualize it in your mind. Maybe the last time you were there, who was with you, what were the conditions like, the temperature? Why is this place so special to you? And from that level of awareness, I'm going to ask us just to continue breathing and just see if you can make a familiar connection with the space and the person that you've brought to mind. Now you can open your eyes. Right, this is this great exercise to create visualizations and embodied experiences to remember people, remember values. And so I'm going to ask you now, just for 2 minutes, to turn to a partner, and you can share either what was the experience like or who was the person and place. But just for 2 minutes in each direction, I'll give you, find a partner to pair up with, and then share. What was that exercise like? Who was the person or place? You'll have 2 minutes in each direction. I'll ring a bell when it's time to switch. The person with the shorter hair goes first. The first person is taking 10 seconds to wrap up. And switch people if you haven't already. Switch people. Okay, taking 10 seconds to find a place to pause the conversation. Thank you so much for practicing trying that on. How was that? Oh, wonderful. Nice. Right? It's not a thing that we do often in the work, maybe, and yet it is so powerful. Our stories are our power. And as we saw these wonderful new co-ops, they were recognized today, as we're like sharing about our experience in the conference together, there's a thing that happens in our bodies where our nervous system calms, right? Cognitive awareness of somebody else's conditions and finding commonalities, familiarities in your stories, it is calming to the nervous system. It brings us into closer connection with each other, and it actually helps us tap into an inexhaustible source within us. We can tap into this creative, generative energy when we're open and mindful of our awareness and how we connect with each other. Thank you so much for playing that game. I do want to say a little more framing about why I do this work. The conditions in home healthcare and in co-ops are so complicated. I'm new. I'm like brand new. I'm like learning about co-ops and getting to be connected with wonderful people. And I'm just understanding the depth and the complexity, the sophistication, and all of the pieces. And so I ask you the question, when will the work be done? I mean, even if I had a magic wand and I was like, everybody's wishes come true, would it be done? Right. So if the work will never be done, what is your commitment to pacing yourself? If you could literally work 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 a year, you could do that and you wouldn't be done, then the question is, where will you pause? Where will you give yourself respite? Where will you break? Because a lot of times we don't feel like we can ask ourselves those questions. I do a lot of anti-racism work. I do a lot of DEIA work in the world. And so I understand that the systems of oppression that we work under, misogyny, racism, transphobia, all these conditions create pressure on us that sometimes don't allow us to really tap into our truest version of ourselves, because if we did, we wouldn't work ourselves to death. Raise your hand if you've had the condition of you or somebody you've known has burned out of the work that they've done. I mean, come on, look around. It's not just, I know you're laughing because it's uncomfortable, but it's not just about the conditions, it's about the future. These co-ops need to be built, they need to be run well. Our clients, our workers deserve the best. And if we burn ourselves out, then it takes you out of the game for too long. Ask me how I know. And so, what is your commitment to caring for yourself? Could someone raise their hand and just tell me what is one way that you care for yourself? Yeah. Yvette, come on. Excellent modeling, Yvette. Thank you. Yes. Woo. Beautiful. I love that. I go to meditation at Spirit Rock in California, and there's a wall that says, "Don't just do something, sit there." Other examples of self-care? Yes. In the back. Wonderful, beautiful, yes.
One way that I take care of myself is walking in the woods. It relaxes me a lot to be in nature.
I love it. Right, so there's so much, yeah, right back here. Yes. Completo, it's all done. Yes, over here.
So I like to get up a little bit early and I walk like 15, 20 minutes in the morning and then maybe half a minute in the afternoon, and that really relaxes me.
Brilliant, yes, thank you. We'll take two more. More is fine. Yeah. Hmm. Wonderful. Thank you for that. There were. Wonderful. I'm going to intercede and then we'll have a couple more. You're hearing wonderful, powerful examples, which is why my job is so easy. I just open it up and everyone has the right answers. But one, nature. So many studies, so clear. If you're able to put your hands in the soil, if you're able to focus on a tree, if you're able to listen to water, like it just, we're hardwired. We evolved with plants, we evolved with the nature. And so when we come in contact with nature, whatever your version of it is, it really allows us to also calm our nervous system. Number two, it isn't just Haagen-Dazs in the hot tub. I mean, for me, it is often with a glass of wine. No, seriously, I bought a hot tub last year. It was like the best investment I ever made. But it's not just those things. It's not just rest and good food. It's also like getting inspired. It's reading an incredible book. It's hearing the stories of our colleagues. It's like connecting with our values and our purpose. Like that's self-care. Finding the right blog or the right podcast. And number three, it's not a thing to do, right? To make another list. Often in this culture of wellness, it's like, are you self-caring? Is it good? Like, did you do it long enough? Did you have the right outcomes? Right? It is per person. And so the last thing I'll say, and then I'll go into some practices, is that your self-care is for you, and so it should fit you. And if you're kind of looking around for ideas, that's great, but ultimately it rests with you. The good news is that it's up to you to take care of yourself and invest and pour in so that you have sustainability to really to stay in this work with us. And the bad news is that it's up to you to continue investing in yourself to keep up with your self-care. All right, so then I thought it would be helpful just to provide a couple of practices using the breath and body as tools. How many folks do Some version of breathing or meditation or yoga. Oh, so good. I'm from California. Everybody does it. So there's a word that people throw around a lot these days that's called somatic practice. Somatic is a reference to the embodiment of some of your ideas. The idea is that you have energy that lives in your body that can inform you about things. So ever notice that when you get scared, like my chest gets tight, my shoulders go up, and I kind of tense? Like that's a somatic response. Your body is like responding to things. So then also this idea that there's a relation between your mind and your body that you can play with. And so today I'm going to offer a somatic practice that may be helpful for you to get grounded. So you can do it from your chair, but it might be a little easier if you're standing. So if you feel inclined, please feel free to stand. You're also fine in your chair if that's what you prefer. So we'll begin, as we often do, with a couple of deep centering breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Allowing your attention to settle and turn inward. Let's have one more breath in and out. Then I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. So if you can balance your weight between your 2 feet, or if you're in a chair, just push down on your feet a little if you're on the floor. I want you to imagine that you're able to extend from your feet into the floor like roots. And as these imaginary roots are growing, they're spreading down and out through the carpet into the floor, through the floor into the substrate, into the soil beneath the building. If you could feel the energy going through your legs, down through your feet, into the floor, all the way down into the earth, and these roots of your feet come in contact with rocks and bugs and water, and how deep down could you extend this energy? Have a breath in and out. While you've extended all the way into the earth, I want you to also consider bringing the energy up from your hips, through your spine, through your neck, to the head. And imagine that a ray of light's able to go from the top of your head, extending up above you into the room, going up, and then imagine that light hit the ceiling in this room, and then it's pushing through the other floors. This light is extending from your neck, through your head, all the way through the building into the air outside. Feeling the cool breeze and the sun of the air outside of this building, and all the way extending up into the sky. And then just sit there with this hyperextension upward and this extension downward. Hold that energy. This is your length. This is your integrity. This is your extension into the grounded, root, solid foundation. This is your extension into what's aspirational above. Take another breath here, breathing in and out. Then you can bring your attention back into the room. Just do one more somatic exercise. See if you can put your attention on the left side of your body. Can you feel your pants on your left side of your leg or your shirt? What if you could just feel everything touching the left side of your body? And then use your imagination to extend. What if you could extend your energy field to your left side and extend it all the way outside of your body, stretching further until it almost touches the person next to you? How far would your energy have to extend? Have a breath here and out. Maintaining that extension, see if you can notice the side, your right side of the body. Can you feel the clothing on your shoulder and arm? What about the left side of your leg? Can you feel the temperature? And then imagining that you could extend your awareness beyond your body to the right side, further reaching out, extending until you touch the person next to you. Extended to our right side, extended to our left, almost connected to the people on either side of us. Have a breath in and out. This is your community. This is your connection. In our width, we are able to expand and take up space and eliminate the spaces between us so that we are directly connected to our community. Then bringing your attention back into the room. If it feels good, you can open your eyes. It's wild, right? Yeah, such a beautiful awareness that we can have if we stop, right? If we stop, if we put our mindful attention towards our bodies and listening to them, if we put it next to our integrity and our community, there's so much work we can do in somatic to help us get grounded that will reset you, I promise. Do this another time today before the next session. I promise you, you'll be like, oh, I'm much more present. I'm much more aware. I can offer from a healthier place. So I'm going to close with one more exercise. You can be seated, thank you. Okay, so there are a couple of ways that the body can react, responds to stimuli. So one thing that I do often that I want to invite you to do today is to, really massage your own hands, right? So there's a place here between your forefinger and your thumb. It's nice and meaty. Give it a little rub, right? You can pull your fingers a little bit, little pressure. There's all kinds of nerves in your hand that respond to your central nervous system, and the more you massage them, you can actually bring your heart rate down, you can relax, you can bring your central nervous system into a posture of relaxation. There's another thing that people might do, like the soft version of it is just tapping. So you might gently tap on your forehead, you might gently tap on your sternum, right? This can bring us into awareness and yeah, right underneath your eyes. Then there's this other one that works really well for me. It's like you massage the upper parts of your ear. I'm telling you, you spend 5 minutes just playing with these parts of your bodies, massaging your hands, rub the top parts of your ears, do a little tapping. It will bring you a refreshed energy for your meeting. And then I'm going to close with my favorite, which is what I call like a gratitude body scan. How many folks do body scans? Excellent. This one's my favorite because it's like, how many times a day do you think about your kidneys, your gallbladder? I don't even know what the gallbladder does, but it's like, so again, if you find a posture that feels comfortable and still alert, you might let your gaze kind of go down or close your eyes. We're just going to be grateful for the next 5 minutes. Have a nice deep breath in and then out. Now just imagine that you can feel the temperature of the room from the top of your head. And as you start to scan through the body, we're just going to be really grateful, relaxing the muscles in the forehead and the face. Ooh, I'm so grateful for this brain. So grateful for this forehead, relaxing the muscles in the face and the slacking the jaw. Grateful for my eyes and all the things I see. Grateful for the nose, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. Grateful for the smile and laughter. Scanning through the neck, into the shoulders. So grateful for my larynx, grateful for the esophagus, the aorta, all the magic pieces inside that I just don't think about, they just operate. Dropping attention into the chest. Grateful for my lungs. Lungs be lunging, just breathing all day. Grateful for my heart. I don't tell you to beat, but you beat. So grateful. Dropping awareness into the belly, nice soft belly, grateful for my digestion, grateful for the kidneys, the liver, the gallbladder, all those magic organs that operate without our instruction. It's a miracle. So grateful for all the organs and innards and all of their workings. Dropping attention into our hips and the back. Grateful for those large muscles in the glutes and the quads. Grateful for these legs, the knees, the calves. Grateful for the feet and the ankles and heel and toes. Grateful for my middle toe, helping me stand and dance and jump, and just taking a minute to ourselves just to scan through your own body and think about what parts of you are you grateful for today that maybe aren't always in your awareness. So just take a minute and be grateful to different parts of your body. And opening your eyes, bringing your awareness back into the room. How do you feel? It's a little different, right? And that was just like 20 minutes. I promise these exercises are helpful. They actually are a gift to ourselves and to the people that we work with and for, because investing in yourself is an investment in the work. So I will close by sharing gratitude. I hope that something I offered today was useful. If there was a way in which I caused harm, I want to apologize, but I expect that you'll use some of these practices for the rest of the day. And I would be remiss if I didn't say there's a piece of paper on your desk. My name is Patrick Brown. My company is Venture with Purpose. I'm working with a bunch of partners in the room to develop uh, a system, a prototype that is going to help Californians rapidly increase the number of home healthcare co-ops. And so there's information on the sheet. Please be aware of it. And I've talked to some of you, but if you want to reach out to hear more about the project, if you feel like we could learn from you, please do email me or call me. Names on the form. Thank you so much. Minutes. So again, the pattern is that we're going to breathe in for a count of 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Then in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Then out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Then in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Now on your own. Okay, your last rotation. Great. Thank you so much for your practice. How are your nervous systems? Excellent. And so I had a request made of me to like just kind of walk through what is meditation. And so I'm going to do a real brief, like one version. So my practice, I told the story earlier how I went on the mountain and I sat for 9 days and I was quiet, and my heart broke open. And what happened was I realized that in all of the purging of the things I had stuffed in and my heart breaking open, I had a very skillful teacher named Larry Yang and Gina Sharp, two of them, that came to me and offered me these tools that would help me kind of hold my suffering. Because the truth is that we all have suffering that we can touch into, but when you're overwhelmed, it doesn't really help you to stay activated. And so you've got to practice moving your attention. I'm not saying you avoid your challenges or problems, but like when they arise, you can meet them, work with them, but if you're feeling inundated or overwhelmed, it also is good to turn your attention away. And so that's what I want to offer. The particular lineage of Vipassana Theravada meditation that I come from really invites insight, right? It's like, can we explore, can we understand the way that our mind and our spirit and our hearts are connected? Can you spend some time investing in those capacities and facilities to better drive your life? In the moment of anger and aggression and frustration, can you turn towards a deeper truth that actually is always available to you? The consistency of the breath, the awareness of sensations in your body. It's a place you can put your attention when you're overwhelmed. So for this next few minutes, I'm just going to invite us to meditate. So from a posture, again, that feels comfortable but still alert, you might feel good to lower your gaze or close the eyes. And I'll just ask you to like notice the pattern of your breath. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to ask you just to notice where your mind goes, right? So pay attention to the breathing in and the breathing out. We call this kind of an anchor. So we're going to anchor our attention in the breath. You could either notice kind of the expansion and contraction of the belly or the chest when you breathe, or you might notice the movement of air across your nostrils in and out. But you'll notice that thoughts start to arise. Oh boy, that dessert was good. What is that person over there doing? Are they listening? So thoughts will start to arise and you can notice them. Notice the thought. Maybe even name it or mark it. Oh, that's pleasant. It's an unpleasant thought. It's a neutral thought. But after you mark it, don't pay attention to it. It's like a leaf that's floating down a creek. A thought might arise and you notice it. Then you watch it just kind of slither away down the creek. Or like a cloud moving across the sky. You'll notice the thought as it arises. That's pleasant. And then you let it go. So we don't attach to the thought. So we're just going to do it first for 30 seconds and see how it goes. See if you can not follow your thoughts, but just follow your breath for 30 seconds. It was 30 seconds. How many folks had thoughts arise in the 30 seconds? Mentirosa, everybody's hands up. Right. So it's a practice that builds, right? And so you might go for a minute. We'll do 1 minute. And so again, the practice is like, oh, I'm sitting here, my mind is trying to focus on my breath, but then I hear somebody, or I remember a thing I was supposed to do, or I have a memory that arises. And your goal is never to push it away like it's like, oh, I don't want to think about that. The goal is to acknowledge it like, oh, I have work to do that is not getting done right now. Notice, it's unpleasant. And then just let it go, because it'll come back, it'll be there. See if you can then turn your attention back to the breath. So we'll just practice one more time for 60 seconds. See if you can hold your attention on the breath and on the concentration of the anchor instead of like letting the thoughts kind of carry you away. Okay, 1 minute. Ready, set, go. Okay, if your attention is wandered, invite it back to the anchor of the breath. And then bringing your attention back to the room. How did it go? Was anybody able to kind of reduce their, yeah, a little bit of reduction of kind of the thoughts arising? So this practice is available to us all the time, and becoming more familiar with it, and when it doesn't feel so new and feels more comfortable, it actually can bring great sensations of relief, right? Just to pay attention to your breath and find a place to hold your attention. It's been a really helpful skill in my work. So I hope something was useful. Thanks for your practice. Back to you. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Another round of applause for another powerful presentation today. We're just coming into the close of the second day and wanting to offer just another mindfulness moment for us to partake in. Did anybody know that was me in the program? This is what happens when you don't get back to the conference coordinators in time with your photo and your bio. They find something from 15 years ago. It's just been such a sheer joy and pleasure to be with everyone today. I want to offer just a couple of exercises as we close out the day with some mindfulness. The first one is somebody asked me, like, well, this is great for calming, but what about energizing? Yeah, what's the thing that you need to bring some energy? I don't know if you're relating to it now. They're like, why did you calm us down after lunch? I was so sleepy. So I'm just going to invite you into a thing that I learned years ago that's called the snuffle puffle. And what it is it's an exercise with your diaphragm, right? To just kind of like bring air in kind of quickly. It looks like this. And then pause. And the other side. And then pause. But what you're doing is you're actually drawing in oxygen on a rapid rate, right? As your body perceives that you're bringing in all this oxygen, it's going to want to know what to do with it. It's going to absolutely energize. And so only if you're comfortable, and only if you can do it without creating a lot of mess, find a posture that feels a little bit steady, right? Feet underneath us. And we're just going to do it for 15 seconds, then we'll pause for 15 seconds. Then we'll do it for another 15 seconds, and then we'll pause for 15 seconds. And we'll just see where you're at. So again, the invitation is not to overwhelm yourself. If you start to feel lightheaded or like it's too much, then stop. But let's just get some air moving through our breath. All right, are you ready? On your marks, get set, and snuffle puffle, go. Okay, 5 more seconds. And stop. All right, roll the neck and the shoulders. Woo! Excellent. Okay, in 5 more seconds, we're going to go the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, and snuffle puffle, go. Five more seconds. And stop. Whew. You feel silly? A little silly, a little like this? How do you feel? What'd you say? Silly energy. Um, Great. So that's one exercise you actually can you're feeling a little bit slow or a little bit tired at the after lunch. You want to step outside, have a little privacy moment. You don't want to snuffle puffle in front of people all the time. But again, it's the activation of the diaphragm and here that moves the air back and forth. It's really energizing.
But now you can do it in this conference space, right?
Everybody knows. You're right. You're with the cool kids now, so you're fine. The other practice I wanted to offer to you today comes from a very specific part of the Dharma, which is the teachings of the Buddha. Right, there are these wonderful, wonderful lessons that I've learned to practice over the years, and some of them are very practical. One thing that annoys me about the mindfulness world is that a lot of the practices like mindful of breath or mindful meditation are extracted from a deep canon of work. Right? The whole practice, I love Buddhism because it's offered as kind of an invitation. Be a lantern unto yourself, the Buddha said. So have your own experience. It's not dogmatic. You can be a participant in it. But sometimes people extract certain parts of the practice, and you want to know where it comes from. So I invite everyone into this practice, which is called Vedana, which is noticing the feeling tone of something. And we'll see how you feel afterwards. So find your posture that feels comfortable and alert. Settle in, turn your attention inward. If it feels safe to lower your gaze or close your eyes. Another breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just feel your feet on the floor. Feel the chair holding you. I'm going to ask you just to kind of remember back to the beginning of the day. We're going to comb through a few moments of your experience today and just notice what feelings arise. I'm going to ask you to label the feelings that arise either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So just take a moment, follow your breath, and remember as you arrived this morning. You approach the building, you come in, maybe you were with people. It's a little familiar, we were here yesterday. What feelings arose as you came into the building today? Maybe you came in and found a seat, put down your things, maybe you found a refreshment or a beverage. Just take a minute at the beginning of your day to comb through and see what emotions might arise. Oh, that sunshine is so pleasant on my face. Oh, it's unpleasant to be in this cold weather for too long. My skin hurts. Oh, this is where we were yesterday. This is a very neutral feeling. So just take some time at the beginning of your day. What was pleasant? What was unpleasant? What did you experience as neutral? Then I'm going to ask you to comb through some of the experiences you've had today in the conference. You might start with the welcoming and the grounding. What parts of that were pleasant? Where might things have been unpleasant to participate in? Maybe you weren't into the grounding. What things were neutral? Some of the presentations today that you participated in, the information was rich, but what was pleasant? Oh, it's nice to sit in this chair and feel in community. Some things may be unpleasant. Oh, I just feel inundated. This is too much. Some things may be neutral. Oh, I chose the chicken. I should have had the steak. Just comb through your emotions and label them pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And then as we keep combing through the day, all the way up until, you're having your lunch, we take a beautiful picture together. There's conversations. Maybe you went outside. And the rest of your day up until this moment, what other emotions arose for you? Oh, I got a phone call from my family. That was pleasant. Oh, I got an email from work. That was unpleasant. Just feeling very satiated, happy in my seat, but just neutral. So just for another 30 seconds or so, comb through the rest of your day and notice if there are other emotions that arise. Sorry. And bringing your attention back into the room. Sorry. So we have just a few minutes left. The practice of Vedana actually is much more, I could go on about it for a long time. What I'll share is that it actually has gotten me out of some very difficult places. Due to the state-sanctioned violence and murder of Black people in this country several years ago, you might remember Philando Castile was murdered, and I just had a very difficult reaction. I couldn't get out of bed. There were so many places in where I felt threatened, I felt unsafe, I felt like my body, my person was under attack. I didn't know where to go, and I couldn't get out of bed. And it was so difficult and dark that I didn't know what to do. And people would say, oh, you're a meditation teacher, like you thank God you're so zen, you can just compartmentalize it. No, my practice doesn't allow me to circumvent the suffering. It brings me in contact with it. As I laid in bed, I remembered this practice from my teacher and I used it. I sat there and I thought to myself in my bed, I thought, oh, I feel so attacked, unpleasant, I feel so angry, unpleasant, I feel like really scared for my family, unpleasant. And then I noticed in a moment, I was like, oh, my brother called to check on me. Huh, pleasant. Just the one. Back to the unpleasant. Oh, I'm sick. I'm tired. This country hates me. I don't want to deal with this. I hate racism. Unpleasant, unpleasant, unpleasant. And then my partner brings me a cup of tea. My husband, it's a cup of tea. Oh, pleasant. And so it was literally the practice of noticing and naming my feeling tones that allowed me to have a little moment, a little separation, just a crack in my suffering that allowed me to be like, even in the midst of the most complicated and difficult and harrowing challenges internally, there are pleasant things that will arise. And if you slow down and you pay attention to them and notice, you may actually find a pathway towards healing through practices of just noticing your feelings and emotions. So that is the practice of Vedana. I offer it for your trial. Try it on. And I'll just close with another minute. If anybody has a question or an evaluation or feedback or appreciation, you could step up to the front and use the microphone. Or not, yeah. Well, thank you so much for all of your the combination of all of our practice today was very pleasant. I want to just close with an offering that we do sometimes in the Dharma is to dedicate the merit of our practice. So when you are in focus and concentration and meditation, you actually are generating merit in Buddhism. And so we sometimes take a moment just to dedicate that merit. And so if you'll just have another breath in with me and out. Taking a moment just to notice that in the world, there is much suffering. And when we come together and practice this way, we generate merit towards the healing of that suffering. And may any merit that we generated today together be devoted to others that are suffering in the world. May they find joy and ease. May they find safety and protection. May they experience health and strength, and may they be free. Thank you so much for your practice.